right? A lot of the big organizations that could be putting effort dealing with other world problems are now also having to deal with this shit.
Hi everyone. You're probably wondering why we're here on a Thursday. Well, something happened. Couple things, actually. So, this appeared on my timeline this morning on ye old Twitter. Let me turn off my dimmer so you guys can see. From the office of Governor Greg Abbott of Texas. Dear Commissioner Masters, consistent with our correspondence in August 2021, the Office of the Attorney General has now confirmed in the enclosed opinion that a number of so-called sex change procedures constitute child abuse under existing Texas law. Because the Texas Department of Family Protective Services is responsible for protecting children from abuse, I hereby direct your agency to conduct a prompt and thorough investigation of any instances of these abusive procedures in the state of Texas. As the OAG opinion number KP0401 makes clear, it is already against the law to subject Texas children to a wide variety of elective procedures for gender transitioning, including reassignment surgeries that can cause sterilization, mastectomies, removal of otherwise healthy body parts, and admission of puberty-blocking drugs or supraphysiological doses of testosterone or estrogen. Texas law imposes reporting requirements upon all licensed professionals who have direct contact with children who may be subject to such abuse, including doctors, nurses, teachers, and provide criminal penalties for failure to report such child abuse. There is similar reporting requirements and criminal penalties for members of the general public. Texas law also imposes a duty on the DFPS to investigate the parents of a child who has been subjected to these abusive gender transitioning procedures, and on other state agencies to investigate licensed facilities where such procedures may occur. To protect Texas children from abuse, the DFPS and all other state agencies must follow the law as explained in the OAG opinion number KP041. Signed, Greg Abbott, stupid motherfucker that's the governor of Texas.
I hate this shit.
So let's look.
It's bad.
So in this letter, Abbott wrote that protective agencies is responsible for protecting children from abuse. The Department of Family and Protective Services did not respond to a request for comment from the Washington Post late on Tuesday on whether it would follow the directive. A spokesperson for the agency told Dallas Morning News that it will follow Texas law as explained by PAC's opinion, adding that it had no pending investigations. Abbott said Texas doctors, nurses, and teachers have an obligation to report instances of child abuse and that the existing law provides criminal penalties for failure to report such child abuses. Members of the public have similar requirements as written. The directive is the state's latest attempt to limit gender-affirming care for transgender youth. In October, Abbott signed into law bans for transgender girls for playing in female sports. Fuck him. In August, the Department of Family and Protective Services began to recognize certain gender-affirming surgeries as child abuse after receiving pressure from the governor. Texas is among several states that have attempted to restrict treatments for transgender youth, along with limits to bathroom access and participation in sports. In April, Arkansas legislators passed the country's first law banning gender-affirming treatments for minors. This month, South Dakota Governor Kristi L. Noem, Republican, of course, signed a bill that bans transgender girls and college-age women from participating in female sports, joining 9 other states that have passed such bans. Major medical associations, including the American Academy of Pediatrics, have supported the use of gender-affirming care for transgender children, although doctors generally recommend waiting until a child reaches puberty to begin medications such as puberty blockers or hormone treatments. True. The Morning News reported that it is unclear whether every state agency will follow Abbott's directive, as Paxton opinion does not carry legal force. Some prosecutors and current attorneys have said that they will not follow the order, the newspaper reported. We'll look at that in a minute. Harris County Attorney Christian D. Manifi, Democrat out of Houston metro area, in a statement accused Abbott and Paxton of ignoring medical professionals and intentionally misrepresenting the law to the detriment of transgender children and their families. As the lawyer who represents DFPS in civil child abuse cases in Harris County, I can tell you that my office won't be participating in this political game. Both the district attorney's office and the county's office in Travis County, where Austin is located, told the Morning News that they would not adhere to the directive. Travis County Attorney Delilah Garza, Democrat, told the paper that Republican leadership of the state is trying to turn loving and supportive parents into criminals, and this office will play no part in it. Based. So let's fucking talk about this. 1. If you live in the state of Texas and you have a therapist who turns you into these people, immediately file a grievance with whatever their appropriate professional group is. If they're a psychologist, you file it to the American Psychological Association or the American Counseling Association if they're part of my job. By the way, keep an eye on Sasha Ayad. She's based out of Texas. Spoiler alert. You remember her? Go back and watch the Sasha Ayad video. This is the type of people that are behind this stuff. Did she have anything to do with this? Probably not. But seriously, though. I don't even know where to begin with this. Where do you want to start?
This is a fucking dumpster fire all over again.
True.
The dumpster fire that, like, just got more fuel added to it. Because I don't know if that dumpster fire ever, like, went out. Yeah. No, this is especially horrifying, because the way this reads won't just affect these professions listed, but anyone even like doing like tangentially related things. Like if you're, you know, doing like physical therapy, like this would also include you. You would also be a mandated reporter.
Not to mention, if you're a doctor and you're giving hormone supplements to a kid who has a thyroid issue or some other type of hormone-based issue, or spoiler alert, is that technically that? Yeah, or precocious puberty?
Yeah.
Like, the problem is that what this essentially does is criminalizes anyone who offers this care, and if you hide it, you get nailed.
So this is also just equally fucked, because this, to my understanding, just goes into effect right away, doesn't it?
Most likely, yeah.
This doesn't give... So normally when, like, legalizing marijuana, like, that took a long time to actually, like, 1, get that on the books, 2, set up all the stuff around it, stuff things, get it all, like, throughout the whole state. That took forever, okay? That took a few years, at least. This shit is sudden and fast and doesn't give anyone any time to react. Like, these people already have clients on the books that are trans. All right, or patients, whatever the case may be. And they're going, wait, what? This is already in the notes. This is already there. This kid's already told me about it. No. This is just
But not only that, doctors, nurses, teachers. So your teacher, if your kid is like gender nonconforming or trans, the teacher gets to out them. Do you know how many kids are going to be abused because of this fucking law?
Not just the teacher. You're required to out them by this.
Yeah. You don't have
required. Yeah.
So here's the thing. The first thing that comes up for me with this is immediately this is now in opposition to the ACA, the APA, and the AMA. The fact of the matter is that you have to hold to HIPAA. That is required. The fact that they are saying this recounts as report, it goes against the direct orders, the direct ethics that I have to abide by. So you are now in an impossible situation between your licensure getting screwed or criminal harm. Cruelty is the point, folks. And that's what this is about. Let's be very clear. This is going to cause child abuse. People who are doubting, let me explain how. If a teacher or a nurse or a doctor has to out a kid to their parents and to larger society that this kid is trans, even if this kid is still not sure or this kid is gender nonconforming, you are going to have conservative parents beating the shit out of their kids.
Or being isolated or forced to do things or forced to do, you know, other gender conforming behaviors.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
And the fact that this affects the general public as well means that now you're turned neighbor against neighbor.
Yep.
Oh, have you ever seen little Timmy wear a dress because he played a joke on his brother? Guess what? He might be a trans.
Well, and this is so fucked with Texas, right? This is what they tried to do with the abortion stuff, right? Is, oh, let's go make people turn on each other instead. Do you want fascism? Guess where we're going.
Yeah, this is literally how you get vigilante justice. Like, the next step with this is just, you can just not have to wait for them to call the police. You can just go take care of it yourself. Wasn't there that article from like a couple years back where they talked about like some group of like parents talked about hunting some poor trans kid. Like, this is the problem. These people are psychotic. And here's the thing that really bothers me about this, beyond a shadow of a doubt, is not only is this a thing, and it's not even really legally enforceable because it looks like it's based on an opinion piece. So I don't even know how that works. But the fact of the matter is that this type of performative cruelty, as Admiral Paco said, will shore up the right to basically vote for this guy again. And the fact of the matter is that this is going to keep happening. We are easy punching bags, and our kids are the most vulnerable.
Yep.
To me, this kind of forcing out in society, this type of immediate harm, not to mention keeping kids from life-saving, you heard me, life-saving treatment. First off, again, we have to, there's so many places to go with this. No kid is being given surgeries. That's how you know this is bullshit. Because it immediately starts with nonsense. The fact of the matter is that they claim that these kids are being given surgeries. No kid is being given surgeries.
Trust me, the only surgeries kids are going to get are like the medically necessary, like you need this to stay alive kind of deal. Like
it's only
how
puberty.
That works.
Yeah, absolutely. And it's only puberty blockers that prosregnite. And the other thing is hormones. But the people that are being given hormones are usually kids that have been on puberty blockers for years or are close to 16, 17. And this has been worked out with their parents, their therapist, their psychiatrist if they have any mental illness, and
their doctor.
Their doctors. Right?
Oh, yeah.
Because you probably
plural,
have
multiple of them.
Yeah, PCP and their endocrinologist.
Yeah. Yep. And this is equally cruel. All right. Does anyone know, like, as far as I know, basically every, like, mental health service or child protective services, whatever version, what have you, are always slammed all the time with not enough resources. And you're like, hey, let's go send them on a witch hunt instead. That'll be great. Let's make them so busy that they can't possibly do their fucking jobs to take care of the shit that's actually doing harm. Great. Cruelty's the fucking point.
Well, and One-Eyed Heathen in YouTube chat said, you know, this is why I'm still skeptical of top-down, but you're not thinking big enough.
Yep.
Right? The way you deal with this is you create something like the Equality Act. You make it so when these people do this kind of stuff, they're looked at as abusers. Let me be very clear. Governor Greg Abbott of Texas is a child abuser. He has found a way to somehow systemically abuse hundreds of children. By the way, if you are a clinician who is working with a trans kid and this law comes across your desk, you should immediately file a CPS report against this guy. Because that kid is being abused. I'm sorry. That's how that works. I'm sorry. This is going to lead to kids harming themselves. This is just how this stuff functions. And they don't care. It's just political brownie points. Cruelty is the point. Now, it is weird to me that with everything going on with the Ukraine, this is the day this comes out. It feels like this was timed, like they were waiting for something in the news. Now, is that me being conspiratorial? Abso-fucking-lutely. But it feels odd because with everyone staring at Ukraine, trying to make sure that, you know, someone's going to do something against Putin. Guess what? All of a sudden this comes out. This feels very pointed. It feels very timed. Now, this could be they were waiting. Could be a coincidence. But let's
be real here. It absolutely puts pressures on places, though. Right? A lot of the big organizations that could be putting effort dealing with other world problems are now also having to deal with this shit. All right? And there's only so much money and in people power and people hours to go around. All right? This is horse shit. It absolutely pulls everybody way too thin. So people are going to be in a position where like, shit, how do we actually handle this now when there's a lot of shit to handle that's all really, really bad? If the choice is between shittiness and shittiness, what do you do here? You get put in an impossible choice.
Yeah, so here's my overall point with this is that this stuff is what we mean when we say that conservatives on this channel, we refer to them as pathological. That is, conservatism is pathology. Because what it leads to is harm. Pathology is usually usually defined as something that causes harm to the person or people around them or both. This is what conservatism does. It is not a political ideology. It is absolutely a form of delusion. Now, you may say that, you know, people who deal with delusions or schizophrenics, people like that, that's an ableist perspective. No. I've worked with schizophrenics. They're quite lovely people. This is something different. This is entirely a mental illness of its own. And it's one based over what happens when a brain is so flooded with cortisol because they're constantly afraid. Like, look what they've done. Originally, it was like the immigrants coming in, but then it's Mr. Potato Head. Like, it keeps escalating in greater levels of culture war bullshit. This is cruelty. Nothing more. And it's going to hurt kids. And if any other state follows this, it's going to become exponential in the number of kids it's going to hurt. The thing we have to understand about this is that this has to be fought against. So at least from my perspective, let's try to find some good news real quick.
Actually, I think one of our mods did post other stuff.
I got it. I already pulled it off.
Oh, okay. Yeah, one of our mods posted stuff too. And no, Gene K, we are also scared for the queer people of Ukraine.
We'll cover that in a little bit.
Yeah. It's, again, this is one of those nights. Shittiness, right?
Texas district attorneys condemn Abbott and Paxton's anti-trans and life-threatening directives. We are deeply disturbed by Governor Abbott and Attorney General Paxton's cruel directives treating transgender children's access to life-saving, gender-affirming care as child abuse. True. This is part of the continued onslaught on personal freedoms. Again, never ever believe for a moment that conservatives actually believe in liberty and democracy. All of their actions show otherwise. They engage in fucking gerrymandering, and they not only that, they will try to stop anyone they think is doing something they don't like. They don't care about those. This is the only difference between a conservative and a fascist, is conservatives pretend to care about those things. Moving on. This is part of a continued onslaught of personal freedoms. Elected officials should be protecting our most vulnerable. These two instead want to irrationally target and restrain children seeking medical assistance and force caregivers to participate. This is un-American. We cannot stand in silence in the face of such egregious invasion of privacy. True.
Mm-hmm.
We also want to be clear. We will enforce the Constitution and will not irrationally or unjustifiably interfere with medical decisions made between children, their parents, and their medical physicians. We trust the judgments of our state's medical professionals who dedicate themselves to providing the highest degree of care, not only for our transgender youth, but all youth in the communities. We want to ensure our residents with transgender children that they are safe to continue seeking their care and their needs. We will not allow the governor and attorney general to disregard Texan children's lives in order to score political points. We have a choice. We can launch politically motivated attacks, or we can lift up and protect communities. We are proud to do the latter. Fuck based. Now, here's the thing. Because this is technically not law, this is just an opinion piece that's being enforced by the governor's will. Yeah, I think you can actually get away with not following this. The problem is it's only as enforceable as you can make it. But this is fascism. The reason why conservatives beyond their own disgust responses are so utterly comfortable with harming us is because from their perspective, they truly believe that we're an aberration. This comes back to the conversation we were having at the beginning of the stream. There are ways in which certain people have higher susceptibility to disgust responses. They tend to be conservatives and fascists. And the fact of the matter is that trans people make them feel ooky, or they're really uncomfortable with getting a boner about a trans girl, or the idea that a kid is choosing something without their parents having to like choose it for them, and that kid actually making an informed decision weirds them out because they're authoritarians. This is insanity. The fact that these folks stood up for that, stood up against it, is fucking awesome. More people have to do so. If anyone knows any charities, by the way, any donation sites, things like that, about this situation, please feel free to provide those in chat. On the server. Or on the server.
Later, yeah.
Because we would love to be able to start pointing people towards groups that are fighting against this, including, I assume, the ACLU, Human Rights Watch. There's probably a number of other groups. I'm
sure Planned Parenthood's trying to figure it out too.
Southern Poverty Law Center.
Yeah.
Probably. That's usually the greatest hits.
So, if you are a young queer person in Texas, take care of you.
Yeah. But it goes on.
Oh, yeah. Shit. Here we are. Fuck.
The parental rights in education bill passed 69 to 47. Florida bill passes don't say gay bill. The Florida House of Representatives on Thursday approved legislation that would ban certain discussions of gender identity and sexual orientation in schools. Florida's House passed the parental rights in education bill, known to its critics that don't say gay, on Thursday in 69 to 47 vote. It now moves to the Senate, where a similar piece of legislation is already being debated. Florida Governor DeSantis, another monster, has signaled support for the bill, but has not indicated whether he would sign it if it reaches his desk. Should the bill become law, Florida educators would be banned from speaking in primary school students about LGBT topics such as that are not considered age appropriate or developmentally appropriate to students. Parents would also be given greater authority to take legal action against school districts. Proponents of the bill, oh great, now parents get to go after teachers even harder. Proponents of the bill on Thursday continue to argue that it merely seeks to strengthen rights of parents. Fuck parents. I'm going to be really clear about this. Parents' rights can go fuck themselves. I don't care. That the majority of abusers of kids tend to be parents. No, I'm sorry. You do this idea of like parents' rights have this never-ending. No, I've met and interacted with parents of kids that I've worked with who have been utter authoritarians. If these people would have been dictators of a large country, they would have been insane. I believe in the idea that creating boundaries at an early age of what is appropriate in our schools. I also, by the way, trying to stop any discussion of sex and gender, specifically sex ed at younger ages, has demonstrable negative effects on kids because it makes them less likely to know what to talk about or say things if they get sexually abused. It's always the fucking conservatives. First, Florida tries to pass a bill that they get to sit there and molest trans kids, but then, to make sure that they're properly in the right sport. But now they get to just basically, ban these kids from ever being experienced with this stuff. Yeah. Be really clear. Conservatives just are abusers. But those against Harding's bill call it hateful and needless attacks on the state's young LGBTQ plus population, which already faces greater risks of mental illness, self-harm, and suicide. True.
Yep. I'm
going to vote down this bill, and I'm going to say gay until I'm rainbow in the face, said Representative Michael Grieco, Democrat, said Thursday. Pro-LGBT groups immediately condemned the bill's passage in the House, calling it a piece of extreme legislation that seeks to erase LGBTQ plus people and history from classrooms. Yeah, by the way, this is nothing more than just another variation of critical theory hatred, because this is what this leads to. These folks end up making it so kids in primary schools don't get to hear about history. This is another way that you basically get to stop kids from knowing this stuff exists. A recent poll of the Public Opinion Research Lab at the University of North Florida found that 49% of Floridians oppose the legislation while only 40% support it. The fact that that's so close is insane.
Yup.
I mean, I can tell you why they always attack children. Because monsters like going after the powerless. That's why one-eyed heathen. Aren't they the ones always trying to keep child marriage going? And again, they wanted to pass a bill that they could just, make sure that you had the right parts for being in gym class. And now they want to do this. Like, again, suffering and cruelty is the point. And it's really weird that they keep being predatory towards children. Wait, didn't Matt Gaetz, a known representative of Florida, what did he get in trouble for again?
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
Amit Pally, CEO of LGBTQ plus Youth Suicide Prevention and Crisis Intervention Group, the Trevor Project, on Thursday, said lawmakers in Florida should be more focused on supporting LGBTQ plus students and their families instead of pitting parents against teachers and erasing the LGBTQ community from public education. True. When lawmakers treat LGBTQ topics as taboo and branding our community as unfit for the classroom, it only adds to existing stigma and discrimination, which puts LGBTQ plus young people at greater risk for bullying, depression, and suicide. By the way, that's the other thing that the outing of those kids in Texas is going to have. Yep. Bullying. In a statement, he said that the exaggeration and misrepresentation and reporting about the amendment was a distraction. All the amendment did was create procedures about how and when and how long information was withheld from parents so that there was a clear process and kids knew what to expect. Nothing in the amendment is about outing a student. Rather than battle misinformation relating to the amendment, I decided to focus on primarily on the bill that empowers parents to engaging their children's lives. Such bullshit. The Florida House also on Thursday passed the Stop Woke Act, which would remove lessons about gender identity and race from public schools that may make students feel discomfort. Oh no.
And by students, you mean, you know, politicians and other supposedly concerned people feeling real uncomfortable that students are actually learning shit. Yeah.
Oh no, they feel uncomfortable. So yeah. Let me be really super clear here. There's more states that this is happening in. Cruelty is the point, folks. I know I keep saying that. Zena keeps saying it, and it's because that's the only answer. These people don't care about children. They care about getting brownie points with the Nazi parts of their base.
Yep.
Gender-affirming care does not hurt children. Kids are not put through surgeries. That would be insane. Kids get life-saving medications that allow them to live in the identity they wish to have.
Mm-hmm.
This is research science. Go ahead.
Oh, I was going to say, and the entire goal with all of this is to do just enough and just what is right for each individual, right? And obviously taking into account whatever other, you know, things they've got going on, right? Wherever they are in their life. That's the point.
Yeah. I hate this shit. So here's the thing. If you are someone in Texas, first off, I'm going to give you permission for something. I love you. I'm sorry you're going through this. And if your kid is seeing this, if you're someone who's underage and you're seeing this, I am so fucking sorry. Also,
yeah,
if anyone tells you as a resident of the great state of Texas that you should just move, you have my permission to slap the living silly shit out of them. That is a Destiny level fucking take. They should just move. Yeah, because that's not hard and doesn't cost a shit ton of money or take you away from your job that clearly pays for the move. These people have no actual sense of, like, decency. So with that said, we're not happy about this. You have something?
I do. If you are a trans kid as well, like, please, if you can, you know, reach out to other places. We want you here. We absolutely do. I know it might suck for a while. I know it's really, really awful. But please stick around, right? We really do want you here.
Yeah. If you know a queer kid in Texas, here's the thing. Try to support them. Yeah. Get them through till 18.
Mm-hmm.
Right now, if any of this becomes law and we can't get rid of it right now,
or this has repercussions that, and it will have repercussions down the line. Get involved. I mean, if you're an adult, get fucking involved, right? Figure out a way to be there for people.
Yeah. So we'll do the best we can.
Mm-hmm.
We'll get some links up on the Discord.
Yep.
People can donate. And yeah, guys, we're going to keep following this, but we'll see you in the next one. All right.
Bye.
If you like this video, please like, comment, and subscribe. Also, consider donating to us. You can support us on our website, transgirltherapist.org. You can also help us on our Patreon, link below, or you can become a member here on YouTube. Thank you so much for watching.